My family stole $133,000 for my sister's graduation trip. I canceled everything while they were in Europe, and when the bank reversed every penny as fraud, the businesses came after them. I'm 29 years old, work in finance, and honestly, I need to tell this story because I still can't believe my own family did what they did. I'm talking about $133,000. Okay? $133,000 charged to my credit card without my permission to fund a luxury trip through Europe. That wasn't even for me. And the worst part isn't just the money. I mean, the money is crazy, obviously, but the worst part is the betrayal, the audacity. On the way they acted. Like I was the bad guy, for not wanting to basically be robbed. But let me start from the beginning, because this has context. A lot of context. I grew up being the responsible kid, the one who got good grades without anyone having to be on my case, the one who worked part-time since I was 16 to have my own money, the one who graduated from college debt-free, because I combined scholarships with working like crazy. My sister Ashley, well, she's 6 years younger than me, and let's just say she was always the spoiled one. It's not that I resent that, or at least I didn't before all this, but the reality is that Ashley always got everything she wanted without trying too hard. My parents paid for her entire college, bought her a new car when she turned 18. Basically, she never had to worry about anything while I was building my life from scratch. And look, I chose to be independent. Nobody forced me, so I'm not complaining about that part. The problem is that my parents, especially my mom, always had this horrible double standard where I had to be the responsible adult and Ashley could keep being the pampered child forever. So anyway, Ashley graduated from college this year, in May, I think, and I wanted to do something nice for her because, despite everything, she's my sister and I care about her. So I bought her a new laptop, a pretty decent MacBook Pro that cost me like $2,500. And I gave it to her at a family dinner my mom organized to celebrate the graduation. Ashley was super happy. My parents said it was very generous of me. Everything was fine. At some point during dinner, I lent my credit card to Ashley because she wanted to order an extra dessert or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but it was one of those casual things you do with family. Like, here, use my card. What I didn't know, what I had no idea about, is that Ashley never gave me that card back. She kept it, and basically that was the beginning of this whole nightmare. About 2 weeks after graduation, I'm at my apartment on a Friday night, relaxing after a heavy work week, when my phone rings. It's my mom, and from the tone of her voice, I can tell she's excited about something. She tells me, "Derek, honey, we have wonderful news. We organized Ashley's dream graduation trip, a whole month through Europe, visiting France, Italy, Spain, Greece, all the places she always wanted to see." And I'm like, "Oh, that's great. I'm happy for her. That sounds amazing." But then my mom keeps talking and says, "And we booked everything on your credit card because we knew you'd want to contribute to your sister's future. It's your graduation gift to her." I froze. I literally couldn't process what I had just heard. I tell her, "Wait, what? You used my card? How much did you spend?" And my mom, with that voice she uses when she's already decided something and won't accept discussion, tells me it was like $130,000, but not to worry, because it's an investment in Ashley's life experiences, that travel broadens the mind, that she deserves it after working so hard in college. I was in absolute shock. Like, are you seriously talking to me right now? I tell her no, that I definitely didn't authorize that I didn't even know they had my card. And she tells me that Ashley had it since the graduation dinner, and that since I lent it to her, they assumed it was my way of saying I wanted to help with the trip. I hung up the phone because I felt like I was going to explode if I kept talking. I immediately opened my bank app, and there it was, charge after charge after charge. First-class flights, 5-star hotels, private tours, expensive restaurant dinners, absolutely everything you can imagine. The total was exactly $133,000. $133,000 that I didn't authorize, that I didn't even know were going to be spent, charged to my account. And the worst part is that they had already left the country. They were already in Paris when my mom called to inform me of what they had done. I tried calling my dad because I thought maybe he would be more reasonable. But basically, he told me the same thing as my mom, with different words. That Ashley deserved this trip, that I make good money so it shouldn't be a problem for me, that family supports each other, all that manipulative shit they use to justify the unjustifiable. I told him that wasn't supporting family, that was literally theft, credit card fraud, and he told me not to be dramatic, that they were my parents and my sister, not criminals. But you know what? Technically, they were criminals, because using someone's credit card without their permission is a crime. Doesn't matter if they're family or not. During the first few days, I tried to reason with them. I sent them messages, called, explained to them that that money was mine, that I had earned it working, that I had my own financial plans and savings goals, that they couldn't just decide to spend it without consulting me. My mom would respond with things like, "You've always been so selfish, and your sister only graduates once in her life." Ashley sent me a fake message like, "Thanks, brother, for this generous gift. You're the best." As if I had voluntarily agreed to this. None of them understood, or didn't want to understand, that what they did was wrong on a fundamental level. And then Ashley started posting on Instagram. Photo after photo of her at the Eiffel Tower, at the Colosseum, on Greek beaches, drinking wine, on terraces with incredible views, eating at exclusive restaurants. Every post was a stab, because I knew exactly how much each of those experiences was costing, and I was the one paying for it, without having chosen it. But the straw that broke the camel's back, the thing that made me decide enough, was when Ashley posted a photo of her suitcase, and there, hanging as a luggage tag, was my credit card. The audacious girl was using my card, which she had obtained without my permission, as a damn travel accessory, as if it were funny, as if it were something to be proud of. I called my credit card company immediately. I explained the whole situation to them, that someone had used my card without authorization to make massive charges, that I didn't recognize any of those transactions. The representative was kind, but basically told me that the process to dispute the charges as fraud is complicated when the person who used the card is a family member, especially because technically I had given the card to Ashley at some point, even though it was for something completely different. They told me I had to fill out reports, that it was going to take time, that there was no guarantee all the charges would be reversed. It was devastating to hear that, because it meant I might have to pay those $133,000 anyway. But then something occurred to me. If the card company wasn't going to help me immediately, I had to take direct action. I spent a whole weekend, and when I say whole weekend, I mean like 15 hours a day, systematically contacting every airline, every hotel, every tour company, every restaurant that was on my statement. I explained to them that those charges were made without my authorization, sent them a copy of my ID to prove I was the account owner, asked them to cancel the reservations and flag my card so no more charges could be made. Some places were cooperative, others not so much. But I managed to cancel a significant amount of their future plans. I also called the card company and asked them to freeze my account completely. No new charges, no transactions, basically turn my card into a useless piece of plastic. The representative asked me if I was sure, because that meant I wouldn't be able to use the card either until I reactivated it. But I told him absolutely yes, that I'd rather not have access myself than allow them to keep spending my money in Europe. The results started coming in fast. Ashley sent me a hysterical message from somewhere in Italy, saying that her card, my card, had been declined at a restaurant, and that it was super embarrassing. My mom called me screaming, what had I done? That I was ruining Ashley's trip. How could I be so vindictive? I explained calmly that I wasn't being vindictive. I was simply protecting my money from being stolen, and that if they wanted Ashley to continue traveling through Europe, they would have to use their own money. My mom told me they didn't have $133,000 for a trip, and I responded, exactly. So why did you think it was okay to spend my money that way? Things kept getting worse for them in Europe. The luxury hotel in Rome told them their reservation had been canceled and they would have to leave. The private tours they had scheduled were canceled. They had to move to much cheaper hotels, like 2-star ones, and Ashley kept sending me messages that alternated between begging me to fix the situation and insulting me for being a horrible brother. My dad tried to appeal to my rational side, told me, okay, That he understood I was angry, but they were already in Europe. They had already spent a portion of the money, so what was the point of ruining the rest of the trip? I told him the point was to establish a boundary, that if I allowed this to continue, I was basically saying it was okay for them to treat me like this. The best part, and when I say best, I mean it was pure satisfaction, was when they tried to return home. Turns out I had contacted the airline and explained the fraud situation to them. So when Ashley tried to check in for her return flight, the system flagged her reservation. The airline wouldn't let her board. My parents had to buy 3 new tickets on the spot, on a different airline, and those last-minute tickets cost them like $8,000 per person. So they ended up spending another $24,000 of their own money just to be able to come home, and they had to stay 3 extra days at a cheap hotel in London waiting for the flight. While all this was happening, I had made another important decision. I went to the local police station and filed a formal report for credit card fraud. The officer who helped me was very professional, took my entire statement, reviewed the account statements, and told me I definitely had a case. He explained that the fact that they were family didn't exempt them from legal responsibility, that what they had done was clearly illegal. He filed the formal charges and told me they would probably contact my family when they returned to the country. And so it was. When they finally landed at the airport, there were police officers waiting for them. They didn't arrest them right there, but they took them to a room for questioning, took their statements, basically treated them like what they were, suspects of financial fraud. Ashley sent me like 50 messages within hours, some crying, others furious, saying how could I do this to them, that the police treated them like criminals, that it was all humiliating. And I just responded, well, you acted like criminals, so I don't know what you expected. They didn't call first, didn't give warning, just rang the doorbell, and when I opened the door, there they were. My mom in front with that face she makes when she's about to make a dramatic scene. She demanded I let them in, and honestly, I don't know why I did. I guess part of me still had hope that maybe they were coming to apologize, to acknowledge they had screwed up. How naive I was. They sat in my living room and my mom started with her prepared monologue about how I had ruined Ashley's graduation trip, how I had humiliated them in Europe, and then at the airport, how I had caused them unnecessary stress and anxiety, how I was damaging the family. She waited for me to apologize, like she literally told me, Derek, we need you to apologize to your sister and to us for how you handled this situation. Ashley was sitting there pouting like she was the victim, and my dad had that disappointed expression he probably thought was going to make me feel guilty. But something in me had changed during those weeks. I was no longer the obedient son who swallowed his discomfort to keep family peace. I stood up, looked at all 3 of them, and told them very clearly that I wasn't going to apologize for anything. I told them that they had committed fraud, that they had stolen $133,000 from my account, that they had violated my trust in the most serious way possible, and that if anyone owed apologies here, it was them to me. My mom tried to interrupt me with her, "Don't raise your voice at me" voice, but I kept talking. I told them what I expected from them was a sincere apology and a payment plan to return every cent to me, and that until that happened, we had nothing more to talk about. Ashley started crying. That manipulative crying she always used to get what she wanted. But this time, it didn't work. My mom stood up and told me I was making a mistake. That family is forever, and that someday I was going to regret having chosen money over my own blood. I responded that they had chosen first when they decided to rob me, and that if family was so important to them, then maybe they shouldn't have shown so little respect for me. I asked them to leave my apartment, and when my dad tried to say something else, I raised my voice and told them to leave now. They left, but not before my mom said this wasn't over, that she was going to talk to the rest of the family about what I was doing, basically threatening to turn them all against me. And honestly, at that point I didn't care anymore. I was fed up with everything, fed up with being the responsible one, fed up with being taken for granted, fed up with my boundaries being trampled over and over again. The following weeks were weird. My mom kept her threat and apparently called all the uncles, cousins, grandparents we have, telling them her version of the story, where I was the villain who ruined my sister's graduation trip for being stingy. Some relatives called me to mediate, basically pressuring me to let the whole thing go. But there were also some My Uncle Roger specifically, who called me and told me he had heard the whole story from my mom and that he thought I had done the right thing, that what my parents did was unforgivable, and that he supported me completely. Then came the news I was waiting for. The credit card company. After reviewing all the evidence I presented, the police report, the statements, everything, determined that the charges did indeed constitute fraud. They reversed all of them. And when I say all, I mean all $133,000. Every transaction was removed from my account. The official letter I received said something like, based on the evidence provided and the investigation conducted, they determined that the account holder had not authorized the transactions in question and therefore proceeded to reverse the charges according to the fraud protection terms of the contract. When I saw the confirmation email, I honestly cried. Not from sadness, but from pure relief, because for weeks I had lived with the fear that maybe I was going to have to pay that absurd amount, that maybe I was going to ruin my financial stability for something I didn't even do. But no, justice worked, the system worked, and I was free from that debt I should never have had. Of course, this meant someone else had to pay those $133,000. The airlines, the hotels, the tour companies, they all lost that money because the charges were reversed. Part of me felt bad for them, especially for the small businesses, but I also thought they should have verified authorization better before processing such large charges. And I definitely didn't feel bad about my family having to deal with the consequences of their actions. I haven't spoken to my parents or Ashley since that day at my apartment like 4 months ago. My mom sent me a message when she found out the card company had reversed the charges, saying that now I really had ruined everything because the businesses were going after them for the lost money, that they could sue them. I didn't respond. Ashley tried calling me several times, especially when she started receiving collection letters, but I never answered. My dad sent me a long email trying to explain that they just wanted to give Ashley an unforgettable experience, that they never thought I would react like this, basically more of the same without accepting real responsibility. I changed my phone number, blocked them on all my social media, basically cut contact completely. Some relatives tell me I'm overreacting, that eventually I should forgive and move on, but I don't see it that way. For me, this isn't just about the money, although $133,000 is obviously a lot of money, but about respect, about boundaries, about recognizing that what they did was objectively wrong. And until there's a real apology and genuine acknowledgement on their part, I don't see a reason to have a relationship with people who showed so clearly that they don't care about me. My life now is much calmer, honestly. I work, go out with friends, have my hobbies, do what I want with my money without worrying that someone is going to spend it without my permission. Sometimes I feel sad because I basically lost my family. But then I remember everything that happened, and I realize that maybe what I lost wasn't as valuable as I thought. A real family doesn't steal from you. A real family respects your boundaries. A real family apologizes when they screw up, instead of expecting you to apologize for defending yourself. Last week, I ran into a cousin at the supermarket, and he asked me if I had considered reconnecting with my parents, that they're apparently very sad about the situation. I told him that, when they're ready to have a real conversation where they accept what they did and apologize sincerely, I'll be there. Until then, I'm fine with my decision. More than fine, honestly. For the first time in my life, I feel like I established a boundary and maintained it, without letting guilt or manipulation make me back down. And that, I guess, is worth more than any dysfunctional family relationship.